Hello, welcome to this video. This video is the second part in a short series I'm going to do for beginners on needle felting pictures. The first part just came out recently, and that's all about the tools and equipment that I use. So if you want to pop and have a look at that and then come back to this, that's fine. And this video is going to be about learning a little bit about composition, things like this, nothing too heavy. And then we'll go on and we will create the sky for our picture. The pictures are in the description box below, or the drawings are, if you'd like to download them. It's all free, and hopefully I've managed to put down there a link to a couple of PDFs that you might find helpful as well. And so this is going to be over about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. And at the end of it, if you've never needle felted a picture before, you should end up with a couple of nice pictures as starter pictures to show you how it's done. So if you're ready and you want to carry on with me, let's hop on over and I'll show you the bits we need to do. See you there. Well, we'll start with the first bit. I just want to say that I'm not going to go ever so in depth with any of these bits for you. What I'm really trying to do is give you an overview of how to help you create your own pictures. So we are going to actually go into felting in a minute, but I do feel that it would help you if you had some idea of how I compose pictures and how it's a good way for you to do the same when you're ready to do your own. So what you see here is I have a picture, and this is the picture that's free for you to go download in the description box. There's also a couple of PDFs, just extra bits that you might like. So if you want to get this picture, you can do, or you can draw your own based on what I'm telling you here. So this is the picture you would get, and it's 8 inches by 8 inches or 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. If your picture comes out at a different size, it really doesn't matter. It's just how we're going to do it that matters. But what I want to show you to start with is it's the beginning of how you base your compositions. And I want you to see, I'm hoping you can see that I've drawn lines on this, and I've split my picture into thirds. Now, the whole point of this is that I want my focal point, that's the part of the picture that's going to draw my eye. That's where I want people to look. So it wouldn't matter if it was like a big church in the back here, or as I've got here is the gate. So what you're aiming for, if you look, I'm hoping you can see, but if you look, these lines cross here, 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 and here. And what you want to do is make sure that you have something that is the thing that you want people to look at the most around those intersections. And in this case, I've got this gate, and it's actually the point is here, and my gate's here, so that it's not, you absolutely want to make sure you don't have anything in the middle. So I would not put anything in this box. Anything that's important, and I want people to see, if you see between these four dots, I would not put anything there. So in my case, my focal point is going to be on the lower dot down here, and that's the way you want to think about it. So try and get whatever you want to do, never ever ever in the middle, whether it's in the middle of it going that way or the middle of it going that way. So try and avoid putting the whole of your subject. So like my gate goes into that, but that's fine because my gate is still over here. It's not up in this bit here. So when you compose your picture, when you're thinking about where you want to put things, make sure that you put your object or the thing that you want people to look at most in one of these areas. Roughly, give or take, but just the main one I'm trying to say to you is don't put your thing smack in the middle of a picture, because then all this is wasted space. So that's where we're going to start today. So if you've got your picture or you're drawing your own, make sure that you put your thing in around one of these dots. Okay, so that's your first part we're going to cover really. So what you've got are two pictures in the description box below that you can download for free. You've got this one, which is the first picture we're going to do, and this is going to be a daytime picture. So we're going to concentrate on this today, on getting the sky done, and I'll show you a little bit about skies as well. And then the second picture we're going to do, when we've completed this one, is we're going to do this one. Now I want you to have a look again. If you think about it in the thirds like I've done, that is not in the centre, that would be my centre line. So I put this over to the side, but I also have a sun, but it's on that side. So my composite, and while we're talking about things as well, let me just go back to this one. Well, let me just finish this saying this. So this one is going to be a sunset scene. So we're going to concentrate on making a nice sunset sky there for you. So if you look at both of these pictures, I'm hoping I can get them in the screen. I'm also taking you into the picture. This is one way. There's lots of ways you can do it. And if you're on Patreon, you've got a PDF that will show you a little bit more about things that take you in the pictures. But I'm using this path and this path, which is not fully blocked. If you see, you can still get past the gate to take you into the picture. This could be a path, a river, fence, anything you like, but you want something as well. You want to just think about what's bringing you into your picture. So that's what we're going to do first. So we're going to do this one first, but I've got a couple of other little bits just to show you as well. So both of those, I say, are on downloadable if you want them. So here we are. We're going to have a look at how I make my simple skies. So I'm just showing you now the colour. So I have a sort of a darkish blue and a light blue and then just some white. You could get away with cream, but I like white in the skies. So all I'm going to do to start with is take the dark blue and the light blue, and we're going to mix them together. So now you can do this by hand, and it's fine because it doesn't have to be completely perfectly mixed, and it does take a little bit longer. This is the topsail roving. You could do this with carded wool as well, but I personally like topsail roving to do skies and things. So you can pull it apart with your hands like that, or you can have a single dog brush and pull it across the dog brush like I'm doing now. You just pull it across, put it back on, keep pulling it, and that will blend it as well for you. Or if you have the two dog brushes like I do, and I'll show you in a second how I do it, but you could just keep pulling it off and putting it back on for the single brush. It just gets, I think, it blended a bit nicer. So what I'm going to do is just in a moment I will show you the basic sky, and this is just going to be the basic sky to go with the picture that we're going to work on. The piece of felt I have as a base isn't the actual picture felt, it's just something I'm going to show you with. So can you see here with this brush is I'm just transferring it from one set of pins to the other. I'm sure there's lots of lovely ways to do this, but that's how I do it. I just keep pulling it off one and putting it on the other really. So once you get a blend that you like, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I like it fairly well blended because I want the colour to change. And the more I blend it, the more the colour will mix together and change. So as you can see, I do have little bits and pieces of the darker blue and things in there. I'm not too worried. But if I hold it against the light blue, can you see that it's just that little bit darker now? And that's what we're going to do at the top of the sky. Because when you look at a sky, a blue sky, overhead is always darker, or it looks darker than the distance. So I like to start with the blue at the top. Now obviously I haven't got a horizon line on here, I'm just putting it down. So I have the darker blue at the top, and we're going to put that all across. As you do this, especially if you're using the topsail roving, then you need to make sure you felt it down well. And all you're seeing me do here is just tack it in place. Because obviously I'm not going to waste this wool. I will pull this back off when I've finished showing you, and I will put it to one side for the actual picture that we're going to start today. So I just keep laying it across, and you come down, generally I come down about a third of the picture of the sky with the dark blue, and just lay it across. I'm laying mine horizontally at the moment, but I'll show you in a bit you can do it another way, just so you have a little bit of an idea for your picture. So anyway, so when you do this in your actual picture, make sure you felt it down well. Now I'm taking just a little bit of the darker blue that we've got there. I don't want the really dark lumpy bits in it now, because I'm going to start to blend it with the light blue and start to bring it up lighter. So that's a bit of. So never throw, when you make mixes of anything, don't throw them away, don't lose them somewhere, because you'll dip back into them. And if you won't, then I do what I do and keep a pile of bits, and you can use them for other projects. So now I'm going to take a bit of the darker blue that we had, that mixture, and I'm mixing it now with my light blue. Again, I'm just going to use the dog brush, because what I want to do now is I don't want harsh lines between each colour in the sky. I want them to blend together. So I've mixed a little bit of this dark blue and the light blue together, because that's going to be able to be the middle colour. And I don't want it to be obviously different, it needs to be subtly different. So once I've got that, just that little bit lighter, so that's the light blue in my right hand, and that's the medium mix we've just made. So now I'm going to put that underneath, and to make sure as well that it just overlaps. So it's, as you can see, I'm making sure it just overlaps the bit above. And as you do it, you want to make sure that goes over thinly, because you want to see the darker sky through the lighter bit. It's just because that way you get a nicer blend, and you're not going to have a sudden line between the two colours. So we're just going to lay that across now. So this initial of me laying this down like this is literally just so that it blends. And as you can see, you're not seeing a sharp line between the two colours now. But I'm working towards the fact that as it gets to the horizon line, which is where the ground meets the sky, I want it to be quite light. So now I'm taking that colour that we blended with the lighter blue into it, and I'm now adding a little bit of white. Now you don't have to add the white, this is an optional, but I like to add the white because then it gives me a little bit, just a hint of cloud effect. And if you just want to leave it, you could just leave it the blue colour and just take that colour that we just mixed a moment ago down to your horizon line if you want to. Or you can mix a little bit of white in with it, and as you'll see in a minute, it'll just give wispy looking cloud effects in the sky, and you don't actually have to worry about making actual clouds. So again, I'm going to make sure that this time I just mix it a bit, because I want to not lose the white. I'm not using the white to lighten the blue colour, which it would do if I mixed it all in till it was basically almost like one colour and you couldn't see one from the other. It would just make that blue look lighter. But that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for the fact that I'm going to have wispy bits of the white in it. So can you see there's like little bits of white there, and then you've got the blue, and that's what I'm going for. And then I'm just going to pull it thinly. I'm just making sure everything's going in the same direction. So just pull thin bits, and then we're just going to lay that down now. So again, if you notice, I'm overlapping bits of it over the wool above. And I'm just, can you see the little white bits now? And they will just look like the wispy bits in the sky, the little white wispy bits. And then what you would do is just build that up across, and you can take that right down to your horizon line if you want to, with the little wispy cloudy bits. So what you're aiming for at this time is to make sure you've obviously covered whatever the felt colour is that you have underneath as your base layer. In my case it's the beige, so you obviously don't want to see that through it. So if you look now, you can just see it just has faint wispy white hints in it, and that's enough to just break up the blue in your sky and make it look a little bit like it has a little bit of hazy cloud in it. And there you can see it goes darker and into light, but it's quite subtle. And then if you wanted to, under that as well, you could take your light blue and mix a little white with that and do a final line of that if you wanted to. So then you'd have 3 shades of the blue in the sky. Now to do little clouds, if you want to, this is what I do. There's lots of ways and you'll find your own technique eventually, but I just take bits of white like this, really thin bits. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'll show you, I'm going to put them on the felt, onto my sky. There, you see how I've pulled that apart, and it scrunches up. So I want to tack the ends down first, and then I'm going to push. Can you see me? Watch me push. I'm going to push my wispy bits like that, and then I'm just going to felt that down. And what I'm attempting to get for this is, I want to keep, when you look at a cloud, the underneath of the cloud generally is relatively flat, but the top of the cloud is poofy and wispy and things like that. So you're aiming for a poofy, wispy top and a reasonably flat. You don't want a hard line, you just want a flattish bottom. And what I'm doing with my needle here is I'm just pulling out some of it just to make it even wispier and to fade away. So what we're going for here is just those little happy little puffy clouds that you get in the sky. There's lots of more techniques to make more, stronger clouds, rain clouds, that kind of thing. But for this picture and this lesson, we're just going to go for nice, simple little wispy clouds, which obviously are optional. You obviously need your blue for your sky, but the rest of the cloud techniques are entirely up to you. So when you come to do your picture, you can choose what kind of effect you want in your sky, whether you want no clouds, some wispy clouds, or some of these little more fluffy little clouds like this. And obviously the thicker you lay the white down, the more cloud you'll have. So you can have them really, really wispy and thin, or you can lay it down quite thickly, or you can lay it down and then go back over it with a bit more if you want to. I will go on in future videos and courses and things, and I'll show you more about how to make clouds with shadows under and the different colours that clouds can be and things. So you can also take the straight line like we did earlier, put that on, and then use your felting needle to pull it apart a little, and you can make that wispy, so you can have those long wispy clouds as well that go across the sky. I'm hoping you can see. So I'm just pulling up, again, I'm just pulling up the tops, not the bottoms of it. There we go. So that's one sort of set of clouds that you can do. And I will take these off and I will show you something else about how to lay out the sky. And because I haven't felted it down very hard, it pulls off. But even if you do felt it down quite firmly, the wool is very forgiving, and you can pull it back off if you want to. So as you can see, I've laid the sky horizontally, but you can, it's probably obvious, but I'm just showing you anyway, you can lay your cloud going that way across the sky, and can you see it makes it look like you have some movement in the sky? You can almost feel the breeze blowing the clouds across the sky, really. And it also gives the illusion of a bigger sky. So on this one, I've laid out my sky wall in the diagonals like that, and I've put the card there just so I'm hoping it gives you a better impression of how it works. So you can lay out diagonally, which will give you the feeling of a bigger sky, and then you can put your clouds diagonally across it if you want to, or you can take your clouds and put them horizontally across the diagonals, which I do in some sunset pictures. I have clouds that go both ways, some that go horizontally and some that go diagonally. And it's depending on how you lay your wool on the sky will depend on the final effect in your picture. Most pictures that you see me do on my channel, I will do the sky things horizontally, and I'll just bring it down the picture horizontally. But if you want to get a more sweeping effect, then you can do the clouds this way. And also it depends for me, when I'm doing a picture, how much cloud I'm going to see, or sky I'm going to see. Now here I just wanted to show you a quick thing I forgot to mention earlier about how to transfer a picture. So if you like the picture and you have no way to transfer it onto your felt, if you draw yourself a grid over the picture, and the grid can be, the squares in the grid can be any size. Here I'm just demonstrating with 1 inch, and then you literally fill in each square with whatever's in just that square, so you can transfer your picture across. Now in this case I've got 1 inch squares on both pictures, but if you wanted to enlarge or make smaller the picture that you've got, so say you have a photograph and you want to make it bigger, so you could draw 1/2 inch I'm using inches, sorry, but half inches or whatever, over the grid, over your picture, and then take that up to a 1 inch squares on your canvas or your felt, and that will enlarge the picture by 50%. So you can make the pictures bigger and smaller, and all you've got to do is take whatever's in each square and copy it over, and that way you can transfer your pictures nice and simply if you want to. It's a bit time consuming, or it can be, but it's a good way to do it. So this is what we'll end up with. This is the picture we're going to be working on, and today we're just going to fill in the sky at the top, and I will show you what we're going to do. So we're actually using the same technique I've just shown you on the separate bit of felt, and I've basically pulled that wool off and I'm reusing it here. I never waste anything. So we're just going to build the sky up, and as you can see I don't have too much sky in this, so because there's not a lot of sky I'm just going to take the wool horizontally over. I'm just making some of it a bit darker because it all got mixed together. And how dark you have your skies, and that is really up to you. You need to decide what colour you want. But you can, if I mixed this and then I found I'd mixed it too dark, I could add a little bit more pale blue, or if I really need to take it up a lot, I could even add a little white. But adding white will dilute the colour as well. So this is why you don't see me add white necessarily to lighten something, because I don't want to like wash out the colour. So I'm just mixing this well to begin with, because I want, like I say, I want that dark blue across the top. Now, as you can see, I've not mixed it absolutely perfectly, but the majority of it is mixed up. I don't mind the odd slightly darker little bit showing through. So I'm just working it till I just feel like I've got the right blend in the little bit I'm going to grab. And then we're just going to do exactly the same thing as we did in the demonstration bit, and we're going to felt it across the sky. And make sure when you've done this that you felted it really, really well. You want, especially if you're using tops of roving, you want to take some time and just literally go over every little bit with your needle and felt it down. So I haven't sped this up because I wanted you to see it in real time. That's the whole point of this, really, is so that you know what to expect. And when this sky's done on this picture, I will actually take about 20 minutes, half an hour, and I will literally, especially because I'm using tops and roving, I will go over the whole thing till it's really felted in well. And obviously the more you felt it down, the less fluffy as the wool, it will look. In this as well, if you look at my amount of sky I've got to my horizon line, which is the hills, I do like, again, about a third is going to be in the darker colour, and then I will go over it with my next colour. So this is that one we mixed with the white and the lighter blue in it. And obviously, depending on how much white you put in, it depends as well on how many sort of cloud effects you get. But you don't want to mix that really well. Like I say, you don't want to dilute that light blue down. You just want to mix in some of the white so that you end up with little streaks of white in it. And then I'll just fill in the sky now with that, making sure again, as I said before, that it overlaps slightly the darker blue above. The reason I turned that wool over then, did you see me turn it over, was because I had quite a lot of white and I didn't want all that white on the darker bit, so I turned it over so that just there was more of the blue going onto that darker bit, and the extra white stripy bits are at the bottom. Because if I'd had that really strong white at the top, I don't feel it would have blended in well, and I can always go back and add clouds if I want to. But it's nice and wispy on the top edge, and it just overlaps that darker blue. And you can start to see where the white wispy bits mixed in with it will start to give the cloud effect. Because obviously you ultimately need to make sure you've got enough down, like I say, to cover, in my case, the beige of my felt. And if you have a quick look as well, I'm overlapping the edges, I'm going over off the sides. And I'm doing that because you'll see in a minute what I'm going to do with that. But if I knew that I had accurately got the size felt square or whatever it is that I want to go in my frame, then I can take that wool around the edges. If not, I can just trim it off with a pair of scissors if I need to, and cut it to the size I want. So now this is just the lightest blue we had that is not actually at the moment mixed in with anything. And I'm going to pop that just along the horizon line. The other thing I suggest is, especially with a nice simple picture like this one, take it over the line that you have drawn, if you've drawn one in, for your hillsides, because you don't want, it's very difficult if you, say if I put that sky down to that horizon line and stopped, and then I put my grass up to that line and stopped, I will end with a very, very thin line between the two colours. And it doesn't really work very well. You can see that line. It doesn't matter what you do, you end up with this weird line. So I always overlap things just a touch, so that I know that I don't have that separating line in my picture. So here we go then. So we've done that bit, and at this point you can decide whether you like it as it is there, or you can go on and pop some little clouds on it if you want to. I'm just starting to felt this down now with my multi-tool, but I will take this away when I've finished today's lesson and actually felt it down on my mat, which I may have showed you. If you've watched the first part about tools and things, you'll see what I do. I'll take this off here and go felt it thoroughly. So now I can decide whether I want to put clouds on it or not, or more clouds, or just leave it as it is. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to add some extra clouds. Although, as you can see, with the white lines, it would be fine as it was if I wanted to leave it like that. So I'm going to do basically exactly what I showed you. Just decide where I want to put some clouds and just pop them in. And do remember, like I say, that you can always go back and add some more. And if you haven't done your final felting it down, it's very easy to pull them back off again. If you've done it and then look at it and think, nah, I don't like that, preferred it before, just pull them back off. The other quick one to remember as well is, if you want to give an illusion of depth on your sky, the clouds nearer you would be bigger. So you could make the clouds that are going to the distance a little bit smaller, and make sure you vary them, that they are different sizes. They don't all run in a straight line across your picture, and because you don't want anything, clouds don't tend to go in, I say clouds don't tend to go in straight lines, which probably isn't true, but you'll want this to look random, scattered, wispy. So give a little bit of thought about where you put your clouds. And obviously, like I said, some can be heavier. You could add a little bit more white to some of them if you want to, or you could have them really wispy. So at this point, if you're happy with your sky, then what we're going to do is, as I say, if you're reasonably sure you've got the right size of felt that you want, then you can just take the edges and just needle felt them back over. Now I don't poke. If you look, mind your fingers. If you look, I'm not poking it straight down. I am poking it diagonally, just so it just tacks to the back. Because obviously, whatever angle you put your needle in, it must come out at the same angle, otherwise you'll snap the ends off. So I'm literally just tacking it in on the edges like that. Because if you push it through, it will show on the other side, and you don't want that. So that would be our sky done for this first picture. I'm just fiffy-faffing now because that's the way. I decided that I wanted a little bit of darker just in that middle bit. So I'm just going back and adding just a hint. This is more about once you've got your sky, you can just look and see if you'd like to add little bits like this. You can darken things down, lighten them up. And yeah, I wanted the part that's more over her head to look a little darker, so I just play around with it. But that's basically, I'll spread that a bit later and make it look less lumpy. But just have a play with the sky, and remember as well that you can always take the whole sky off and start again if you didn't like what you've got. It's not a problem. So right, so that would be it for this week's video on darting with skies and the composition of things. And the next video I'll do in this course is going to be starting on the background hills and things like that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this first part of the course and it's helped you in some way. If it has, please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you'd like to. And any comments, pop them in the boxes below. If you need help or anything, just leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer it and help you out on that one. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Have a lovely week. Bye for now.